That's a good question, Puckett. This is going to be a tough one. I chose Seattle. Jay, where'd you go?
I think I'm still going Atlanta, man, because Atlanta, they've already beaten them. They've beaten them in the game 5 with Simp getting that hip fire all the way in around 11. So they got the edge over this team. They know that they can beat them. And with these new maps and like the Death Touch on it, I'm excited to see what Atlanta FaZe are able to do on some HyDra. We saw aBeZy yesterday dropping 38. But the biggest one for me, like Nameless just said, is that Fortress Search and Destroy, where they have vetoed it 26 times throughout the year. Last time they played it was January. So if you are Seattle, these are maps that you have to be able to take that Atlanta FaZe on, because if they come out and they beat you on HyDra, they take a Fortress Search and Destroy, they're just expanding their map pool, and that's what makes them so scary going into the later half of this year.
Yeah, that's what's terrifying is like, as Ant's bringing that up, it's like, yeah, they vetoed out so many opportunities. I can just imagine the tiny terrorists are just sitting there like, yeah, you guys can play us on Fortress Search Destroy, watch and wait what happens. But into game 1 we go. HyDra hardpoint, and just really not that long ago, buddy, it was aBeZy dominating here on HyDra HP. We'll see if he can do it pretty much in the same way. Had a number of different crazy kills, broke all kinds of records, to be looking to put up that same performance today. But into P1 we go, but it's Seattle starting things off quite nicely.
Yeah, Seattle starting off on the better side, so they're able to get a good chunk of time off of this P1, but their biggest focus is to maintain these spawns over towards the next hill, as Atlanta FaZe are just trying to hit a couple routes. That's 3 dead in the feed. Last player on the point is going to be Mack. Make it all 4, but the spawns do not flip. So the Seattle do just enough at that P1 hard point to give themselves a nice little lead going into this P2.
And a few spawn outs for Surge, specifically player number 7 and Mack. So quite a bit of pressure here from Atlanta. We'll watch multiple of those white arrows across the side. So here for FaZe, this is your opportunity, a current 2 versus 2, as they will be locking down the second. It's aBeZy in the hill, and Simp, well, he's doing all the work toward the outside. Some great cutoff kills here from Atlanta. This hill looks to belong to them, but Seattle, 1 close spawn is granted. Mack pops up out of nowhere, and now this is got a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah, it's a 2v2 gunfight now, with Pred finding that kill at the right time. That's what allows his teammate to eventually spawn on him, as he stays alive so long that he's able to single-handedly break this hill. Put these spawns now for Atlanta FaZe, and now they are in the blender. It's all the kills going in favor of Seattle Surge. Pred already starting off 6-1. We have 2 of the best SMG players in the game, make it 3. But we know that battle between aBeZy and Pred is always going to be full of highlights, and Pred is starting it off with his.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because it feels like, Jay, we haven't really been talking a lot about Pred so far throughout the Major IV Qualifiers. I mean, unbelievably dominant, without a doubt, one of the best players in the game. But lately, he's kind of been number 2 alongside of accuracy. Yeah. We all know, right? He always turns up versus FaZe, but he hasn't had to be that number 1 guy lately.
And that's good things for Seattle, because at that point it gets a little bit tiring. When you're just a guy that's consistently putting up the big numbers, you're expecting your teammates to eventually help you in a couple situations, and that's what accuracy has been able to do all throughout this entire stage. Number 1 hardpoint KD for this squad, number 1 control KD for this squad, number 1 in damage in both of those modes as well. So accuracy has stepped up his game to a different level in this stage, and that's what's been leading to a lot of success for Seattle early on as they find the break in towards P3. And if you're Atlanta with only 20 seconds left, you have to get it right on back, because Seattle, they're already setting up for next hill.
Yeah, they absolutely are. This has been a phenomenal situation here for Surge. A late break alongside of a rotation that is on lock for new accuracy. Yep, he's over toward the top rock. He is ready for any and every single pixel that's ready to pop up toward the riverside. So a great start here for Surge. But kind of getting back to that conversation, man, you and I were going over the stats. We're talking about it. It's the 13th matchup between both of these franchises going back to the start of Vanguard. And every time that FaZe has won it, it's usually been dominant. When Seattle has taken these dubs, it's been in a close fashion. It feels like they have really been waiting for, I guess, a secondary or even a 3rd star. As odd as it sounds, accuracy could be that guy for them in this series.
Oh, without question, man. If accuracy is able to play at the same level he's been playing so far throughout this stage, it should be easy work for Seattle, because you know what you're going to get out of Simp and out of Pred. We're already almost up to double-digit kills on this opening hard point. Atlanta FaZe, though, they put a lot of pressure on from the front. They're able to find the break for a little bit of success, but only 20 seconds being on this P4 hard point. Seattle still getting those close spawns. Cellium cuts them down, and that should be Atlanta FaZe finally winning go rotation.
God, and Cellium able to put in the headshot there onto the Aussie. That's now going to be 13 and 5 here for MacArthur. Has already got that cruise missile just through our first few hard points, and he's also going to be watching that cut. You can see for Seattle checking both ways before crossing, and how about that double that comes in from Mack, opening things up toward the bottom side as here comes Seattle.
Here comes Seattle. They find all the kills through the front. There's no one even close for Atlanta FaZe. But at least they get those back spawns. So they have the close spawns, so at least try to break in. aBeZy starts it off. He at least finds one. Mack is instantly there for the trade. Now it's Cellium, one of the more difficult kills to find in the CDL. So he works his way into the hill. Atlanta FaZe are able to find the break. Oh, but for how long though? Because there's still pressure here from Seattle. Simp cuts down too.
Yeah, but Simp also here, constant 1v1s going down here inside of P5. Final 15, so the 5-4 slasher over the top. A bit of a slower start to the hard point, but quickly beginning to pick things up. 5 and 11. As we fly back in toward P1, it will be Seattle with preferred spawns for P2. But we know here on HyDra, Jay, that is anything but guaranteed. A slim advantage for Seattle. We'll see if they can build upon it. Well, aBeZy looks to hit a route.
And aBeZy's hit that route, walks right into Pratt, and he has the right gun for the engagement. Whips out the pistol, is able to take him down. But the cruise missile is actually getting invested. So now if you are Seattle Surge, you gotta back down. You gotta give up this time to Atlanta FaZe. And with 40 seconds still remaining on this P1, Atlanta slowly climbing back into this game.
Yeah, absolutely climbing back into the score. A few water rounds being hit in a rotation that's about to pop up here in 25 seconds. In the meantime, let's step aside and go to the comms of Atlanta FaZe.
One time, Boston. Yeah.
One done.
One time.
From
B2.
Dumb.
I'm trying to come up here. They're from B2 this time.
Dumb shot, one shot, middle.
Still broken. LWall, Pred.
Let's get broken
He's on
somewhere too,
P1,
guys.
he's in P1.
Yeah, P1.
I'm
Trying to play this guy broken, guys.
I'll come up here. I'm taking the water.
Dumb still.
He's mid dump, guys.
Dumb one P1.
Dump heady.
Trying to come up here right off.
Dump heady, weak, Dante.
He's behind me, P1, guys.
Top dumb,
Yeah, still P1. I know, I was looking for him.
Dump heady, Dante.
Ready still? That's fine. That's hard shot, dumb.
Trying to get this guy dump, nade.
On T-dub.
In our P3, guys, Pred, just sitting there. I think we might as well.
Yeah,
Mid
dumb
dump,
still.
still mid dump.
Yeah, dumb one shot, bro.
Chilling.
Dub.
I'm trying to
One shot, dumb heady, one shot.
Not seeing him. Not seeing him. He's definitely here still. Dead. Another dumb now, Dante. I should have.
Yeah, dumb. Dub one shot.
On the top dome on me. Top dome.
I'm
staying out. Top dome on me. Cammy. One shot. Top dome, I'm dead.
Let's just get runs. He's still right somewhere, man.
One's nice time on me, I think. Probably down.
Nero. Auto show this.
Let's just get runs.
I don't need
You might be swimming right. Runes, one shot, Dante.
3 on time. I'm picking up.
Dante's hitting on the right.
One's going dome fast.
Where'd you?
I spawned old.
He's gonna be in the back.
I spawned on old, bro.
Dumb.
That's 55. Gotta kill this guy.
I mean, that was a nice check-in with Atlanta FaZe. The problem being is that they were just in a stranglehold pretty much throughout the entirety of that last hard point. A wonderful P2 now for Seattle as they find themselves in the driver's seat. Let's go to them now and see how the communication sounds.
Stay left. Nothing top plat on you. Inside plat. Plat went to window, I think. Okay, and one's head glitch on the toolbox in time.
MC on time.
You want one top window. I need top window. Let's get time.
I'm telling for pound.
Go down there.
Okay. Pipes right now.
Okay, I'll kill pipes. I don't see him pipes.
One more pipes. They're going in. Yeah, I'm coming away. One was pipes.
I'm playing D beach.
One on old.
I'm playing D beach. Alright, Cellium's on ult. Cellium's P1, one's ult.
I'm playing deep bench.
We spawned out. They're gonna be flooding P1, guys. They're flooding P1.
One's P1.
One's alright. aBeZy's on ult.
I'm trying to get time. One's deep bench on me. I'm with you. I'm on shot.
They're going to P1.
Mid cut weak. He's going
Where'd he go?
open it.
Open it.
In the back. Streak.
Hit him with a nade. I'm only outer.
He's outer. Nice. I'm running up.
I'm outer.
Okay, one P1.
Outer again. One more. Outer.
P1 go. Open. Outer. We blocked. Yeah, I'm actually about the back. And the communication right there from Seattle Surge. Everything is clicking. They know exactly what they need to do, where the pressure's coming from, what players they are looking for as they invest that cruise missile to find the break in towards this P4 hard point, while the rest of the team
teammates are already rotating. Atlanta FaZe are now going to spawn at the back of P4. They have to sprint all the way across the map to try to contest this P5 hill. And there's so many players from Seattle in so many different angles cutting them down. Only 41 points to Seattle take map 1.
And we talk about accuracy, maybe not having the greatest of maps, but the timing on that 5 spree could not have come at a better time, forcing FaZe on the right side of the map. But just as we say that, they end up falling, and now they've got the spawns on the left side. We'll see how quickly Seattle can begin to figure that out. Sib, yet to be aware of it, now absolutely is, but Cellium and aBeZy there to make Surge pay. Still a solid advantage for Surge, 25 points away from calling this one theirs. But Atlanta absolutely can get back in this game if they can lock down this for the final 30. Seattle preparing, beginning to formulate a push as they rush right on forward and do a great job at breaking. One last player inside is Simp. He takes away 2. FaZe still alive, but that nade has just given Surge the exact time that they need. They can't win it here, Jay, but they can get darn close.
Yeah, and with only being 10 seconds left, this is much needed time for Seattle Surge because they do not have the preferred side even for that P2. So if you're Atlanta FaZe, it has to be perfect hard point from here on out. Watch all the water routes, watch all the angles, pick up all the kills as Simp is able to start it off. But Mack already hits a route and is able to get behind this player in towards broken. Accuracy through mid-cut is able to cut down 2. And with Simp starting off with the first kill, he's the only one to find one. You have to invest this cruise missile, but it might be too late.
Oh, and Cellium isn't even gonna matter. No, it does not. The cruise missile gets a nice view of Seattle just hanging out inside of P1 as Surge take a commanding advantage here on HyDra HP, walking away with the game 1 dub. But Jay, what a hard point it was from the man that sits in the bottom left side of the screen. Sib was a man on a mission. I mean, he was just putting players down left and right. We were talking about accuracy. We were talking about players to step it on up. Hate to say it, man, but we forgot about Simp. 31 and 17, my word.
Oh, man, he was like the human turret. No pun intended for my guy, Octane.
Whoa, careful with that.
I'm sorry, but what he was able to do on that P2 hardpoint was just insane stuff. They had a full 60 hold, and the reason why is because Fred, he was pushed up all the way through P1 side. So with him being in that position, you're forcing Atlanta FaZe to overextend to try to go through broken, try to push through that P5 generator side, but they had to run into Sid, and he could not get cut down. He was picking up so many kills that he was earning so many trophies. Every time a couple players from Atlanta FaZe came on spawn, they're like, he still has a trophy? It's because Sid did not die over towards double arches. The flawless 60 hold at that P2, they were able to keep the rest of the game scrappy. Scrappy at the P3, great at the P4, and then even at the P5, Atlanta FaZe, they spawned all the way across the map. Seattle gifted them the spawns in the back. They were not worried about it because they were just keeping the mix going as they were able to come out on top in this map number 1. And if you're Atlanta FaZe, aBeZy didn't go 38 and 12. You might want to get rid of this map once again.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that it's a matter of like, you know what, you look great on it, but you did have somebody who was dropping unbelievable numbers, historic numbers at that. Seattle, as we've talked about, a great matchup for FaZe. Is aBeZy going to be able to pull off that same type of performance? At least not in this game 1 here versus Surge, as they will answer early and deliver Atlanta FaZe, man, another hard point loss. You can see the total kills, a massive outslaying performance here from the boys on Surge. Sib, he gets the nod at 31 and 17. It was a team effort. You saw Mack dropping numbers. Obviously, Brad finishes positive, but accuracy, as we said it, there was a point where, Jay, you and I were, it was actually, I think, in one of the listen-ins, we were talking about how it was kind of like Sib versus Cellium in terms of the stats. And I think at the same time, it was accuracy and Slasher, who both had like very, very low. It was like 7 and 25, 7 and 20, whatever it was. It was like a very similar score at that point. Accuracy turns up. Slasher never really had that moment. Very well could have been the difference there.
Yeah, and that's the matchup that I really wanted to focus on when you talk about these two teams. We all know what the other guys are capable of. We know what Simp does. We know what Pred does. We know what aBeZy, Simp, and Cell are able to do for Atlanta FaZe. But the matchup between accuracy and Slasher is going to be the difference in this series. Accuracy, I'm pretty sure they almost had the same stat line, like you just said. They were both like 7 and 17, but aCBeZy turns it around, ends the game 18-18 compared to Slasher, who almost goes triple negative on that map, number 1. It's very frustrating if you are a Slasher, a guy that doesn't really like himself a lot of HyDra with all the routes that he has to pay attention to, but you got to be able to perform a little bit better for your team, especially versus a team who was coming out to try to get the revenge.
Yeah, and this is his opportunity. I think it was Ali who was touching on it about Slasher's performance. At least when it comes down to the search destroys, he's taken a decent hit, right? A 1.06, now down to a 0.85. So this is the opportunity, right? He's the guy who makes the calls oftentimes in the search destroy. His KD oftentimes is important. Can typically be one of the last players alive in the lobby. So want to see him perform. Doesn't always have to be in the respawns, but you expect for him to be on top of his game in the search and destroy, and that really has been the name of the game so far throughout this year, Jay, for Atlanta FaZe. It has been all about the search and destroys. Went on a heroic search and destroy winning streak. Slasher's obviously been at the helm of doing that multiple times in his career, but can they do it on Fortress, a map that they have vetoed 100 times so far throughout this year, buddy?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. It's just like, we know Atlanta FaZe are stellar when it comes to this S&D mode, but there's one map specifically that has been vetoed a majority of this series. 26 times this map has been vetoed. They haven't played it since the beginning of January. So with Slasher dropping from a 1.06 to a 0.8 in search and destroy, this is where he can definitely turn it around on a map that they don't usually play. So I don't know if Seattle are going to be ready for the aggressive plays coming out of Atlanta FaZe as we start off with Seattle on the attack.
Yeah, we definitely expect to see something pretty special here from FaZe. Lots of strategies, a lot of opportunities where I'm sure that they have been in the lab trying to perfect as many maps as they can. It's fair to say, man, I mean, we've seen so many teams try to counter them on maps like Mercado, on maps like Embassy. It's time to change things up a bit. My word, aBeZy. Nice and early, getting involved in a few of those gunfights. Gets the timely first blood there versus Brett.
Yeah, that's the king of first bloods right there. He walks away in that gunfight with 2 HP. His aCBeZy is able to find one, but Slasher instantly there for the trade, so the bomb does not get planted for Seattle Surge, but aCBeZy just takes over like the last time he did on this map. Finds a second kill on the round, makes it a 2v2.
Notice a lot for FaZe to come to him. I mean, Simp hanging out in a corner. Now's the time for aBeZy and Slasher to make a move. Dead silence pop, but it doesn't matter. Sid with the Vaz. aCBeZy drops, and now we enter into the 1v1. Slasher also pops dead silence. Is he going to check his left? Oh, it's the one corner. It's a 50-50 essentially at that point. Doesn't choose the right one, and from there, Sib clutches out the round. First one goes to Surge.
Oh, that's good work right there from Seattle. More specifically, out of aCBeZy to be the guy that was covering over Mack. Even though he does get taken down, he finds the trade and then is able to find the second with the nade. You get that bomb down, you force Atlanta to retake into 2v2. Sib does it right there with the Vaznev in hand through side art, able to find the final 2 kills on the round to secure the first one for Seattle.
So FaZe do a great job getting that first blood. You really want to see them try and actually equal them out to some rounds. A quick P1 check. aBeZy again with the first, but everybody has basically dropped in a matter of seconds. We're 10 seconds into the round, and there are 3 players alive, one of which for Seattle is Mack. What can he do? Plenty of time on the clock. I guess that is the positive right now for him, Jay.
Yeah, that's the good thing, that he knows that there's a lot of time on the clock. He's just waiting for that dead silence to be useful, as he's going to invest it. Gonna hit the nice little jump up to take top rails control. But that bomb is still down in towards bottom R. He gets all the info that he needs, though. Might be a perfect time and play, but that dead silence is now gonna run out.
That's so annoying, right? He's able to jump out of that window, maybe go for a chow if that dead silence lasts a little bit longer. And now stopping. Top cannons, FaZe are going to hear it, and it's the quick rotation. Understandably so. Cellium going to plant that one down as quick as possible. Now it is time for Mackenzie to make the play. What does he have special for us? Hopefully he can pick up a decent weapon maybe for the job. No, we're just going full Vaznev, and from there he will drop. As we said, maybe a few more seconds on that dead silence, buddy, and it could have been a different round, but FaZe equal things up.
Yeah, FaZe are able to clutch up on the round. Like you said, if Mack had more time on that dead silence, he potentially had the play in his hands, but Cellium puts himself in a great spot. Once that dead silence runs out to get one sound cue, gives the info to Slasher, instantly rotation over towards B. You get the bomb down. Got both your ARs still alive so they can hold down the angles as they clutch up on the round.
tied up at 1.
To round 3 we go. Seattle back on the attack, and really that bottom side door is quickly open. Make it 3 for 3 in first bloods from aBeZy, and 2 of them have been on to Pred. And that is a difficult spot if you are Surge. I mean, you're losing Pred off the start of the round. He's oftentimes your scout. He's been your playmaker, and you really haven't had a chance to utilize him all of that much. A free plant could potentially be inbound as Sib is getting all the information, catching a few ankles, catching a few body parts. As here come Atlanta on the outside. Accuracy prepared. Can't clean up 2, but at least gets the assistance. Sib over the top. Oh, it'll drop. Wonderful work from aBeZy, as now it is Mack all by himself again.
Back in the 1v2. The double chow is going to be there in Atlanta FaZe. Able to start off with the first bloods. Due to the first blood king in aBeZy. Definitely did his homework and popped that double doors in towards bottom art open. Pred likes to be the aggressor on that side. You take care of the playmaker. You eventually commit 4 players on the flank and win the trade battle. In those final moments for Atlanta FaZe to now go up 2-1. aBeZy is just simply unbelievable.
It's so wild, dude, because like he's got the #1 search destroy KD this year, yet he's the most aggressive player in search. Like, how is he able to do this? It's absurd. Can he make it 4 for 4? Thank God that nade maybe just caught 1 of his lovely hairs on his head, but thankfully does not stick. But he'll stay alive, and that is an annoying situation if you're Surge. Just maybe inches away from catching aBeZy off the rip. However, bomb down, nades exchanged as Surge begin their attack.
Now it's a 4v4 retake. Time is starting to tick. They're trying to find a way into art. But aBeZy with the shoulders that he's throwing, it's making it very difficult for them to try to jump on in. He gets the timing. Another first blood goes to aBeZy. It's just too easy for this young man as he finds another one. All left up to Pred in the 1v4. He takes down 1, but with 15 seconds left, this round is locked up. Atlanta FaZe 3-1 now.
It's like Pred's like, oh, I killed aBeZy. This is wonderful. I've been waiting to do this the entire game. Oh wait, there's 15 seconds left and my entire team is dead. Well, you can take any positive that you can. Maybe the mental battle potentially, but it's just aBeZy, man. It's just aBeZy. Unbelievable. 4 for 4 in first bloods. Atlanta now firmly in the driver's seat at 3 rounds to 1, and it feels like that's the game plan if you're Seattle. Just either try to handle aBeZy or just, I don't know, just set your spawn. Make aBeZy come to you. I don't know, Jay. How do you strategize for this guy?
Listen, man, let's just hit him with a couple attacks. Like, we know what this guy is trying to do. Put yourself in an advantage when you're going up against this guy in these one-on-one engagements. He's just picking them apart round after round. He has the potential to earn himself another first blood on the map. Super aggressive up towards the stage. He gets the info onto Mack, but at least he knows the pressure is definitely coming towards him.
He's just so annoying, dude. He just constantly goes back and forth, brought down low in HP, and he's setting up his teammate. Slasher able to poke away at Mack. In the meantime, thankfully, Sib has managed to drop Simp. That is a word. Very difficult phrase to get out, however. Pred still alive. Pops dead silence. Great snap onto Cellium, and now it is up to the first blood master. Can he clean up the final 3? A bit of information on Sib, and finally Surge able to wipe him off the board as they will bring up their second round.
Yeah, Seattle Surge, even after getting first blooded, they're able to find a trade, and Agnessy works his way up through that street side, takes control of that P1 area, and gets at least 1 kill of the players of Atlanta FaZe who were sitting out on the backside of open. And it's eventually Sib who's able to close out the round for Seattle, so they're able to stop the bleeding now, which was Atlanta FaZe 3 rounds in a row. Seattle Surge now down 3-2.
This is really the opportunity for Surge to show off some of those mid-round adjustments, things that we've been questioning, wondering if they have the ability to do. At times this mode has been great, at times it has been horrible. And Simp puts in pretty much every single bullet from that clip of the Baznev. The final bullet connects with Pred, ends up striking, takes down both the tiny tears, and he wants Cellium too. A lovely hat trick to kick off this round, and maybe an ace as Slasher, last one alive, has to deal with the sophomores. What has Thanos got prepared for us?
He has no dead silence, that's for sure, but he is going to see the shadow of Pred. It does not matter as Pred strikes for the ace on the round. He just changed it up completely. We were talking about the mid-rounds adjustments. Seattle said, screw art. We are pushing right up through the stage. And even after getting the first 2 kills in favor of Atlanta FaZe, the 2v4 clutch out of the sophomores, more specifically out of Pred, who was able to find all 4 kills to tie the map up at 3 now. Complete turnaround for this young man. If he doesn't get first spotted by aBeZy, he's the guy that's going to make the play. And he's on a 5 spree, can potentially earn himself that cruise missile, but it can be drastic in the later half of this game.
He just continues to wow us, man. Not just a respawn player. Incredible mind for Search Destroy. He's actually number 2 in Search Destroy KD so far in Major IV Qualifiers. Would be number 1 if it wasn't for Huke's 5 KD that he's got right now here in Major 4. But excellent player and absolutely has his signature written all over round number 6. Into the round 7 we go. Seattle with the quick plant. Pred first line of attack. But where do FaZe begin to initiate this fight from? Simp once more taken down. Pred extends the spree. That's now going to be a cruise missile earned, and 1 more on top of it. God's sake, nobody can take this man down 7 in a row as he'll continue that spree, and Seattle will do the same. That's 3 in a row for them as a team.
Man, that's a bad man right there. You avoid the gunfight with aBeZy, and so far he's been taking the map and in control of himself. Earns himself that cruise missile. Seattle Surge do a great job of getting that bomb down, forcing Atlanta FaZe to retake. They don't send any players through art. They try to go through the front, and it's a perfect setup for Seattle Surge to now put them up 4-3 with a cruise missile to work with. Who's peeking through the back of that curtain?
Might be maybe the SD coach. Who knows? It could be Phoenix. No idea. Everybody wants to see Pred's POV, and for good reason. But what a fun battle we've got ourselves, Jay. It was aBeZy kicking things off, but it's Pred who now enters into 8-kill territory. Some of the best SMGs in the game beginning to fry, and aBeZy not able to answer with the first blood. He drops, and now here comes Pred's streak. A quick 2 here for Surge is Cellium. Able to find 1. Simp, meanwhile, who's on the flank, is going to be gifted. Surely 2. Yes. Wonderful work there for Simp, but now we've got ourselves a 1v1. Pred, who's got to go hunting. He also has a bomb to defuse. Can he catch Simp? The gun engagement is surely about to happen. Simp goes for the snap. Pred nearly locked on. And my word, what a crazy, crazy 1v1 that was.
And that's a 2v4 clutch right there out of Atlanta. Simp was 0-6 before this round started, but you saw the world champion plays that he was able to make. Pops that dead silence, flanks through open. Beautiful trigger discipline to line up both kills before he attacks the first. But once he makes it into a 1v1, he already had the reset on the dead silence. He jumps up into top art, chooses a different angle, completely catches Pred off guard, and is able to tie the game up at 4. Such a crucial round to still win it, even with the cruise missile being invested.
FaZe need him the most. He's there to deliver. Incredible work here from Chris Lair. Has to pop dead silence. He will happily take this spot away. Now for Seattle, a bit more composed. Just trying to make sure that that bomb can go down over at A. And it should be able to, but take a look at the stack that Atlanta has. They've got 1 player who's trying to make a bit of noise toward the back. That is Simp. Opens up that door and distracts Pred. However, right through the front they go. Mack, he'll get caught up. Pred, still distracted. He's got to make a play happen, but at the same time, his teammates are doing all the work possible. Pred eventually is able to connect onto Simp, and now with a slasher, Thanos left at a 1v2 once more.
No dead silence. So all he has to do is throw a couple shoulders, make sure he's not defusing. As Pred gains that info just now. Throws another one, and time is starting to tick. Slasher finds that kill, but Sib gets everything he needs to know. We don't have to check this bomb. He will not hop it, and he's able to find a final kill to close out the round. Seattle Surge, those mid-rounds adjustments are coming into play. You usually don't see Pred play corners. When he sat that corner the way that he did, gets all the info for Sib. Even though Sib does eventually get taken down by Simp, he's instantly there for the trade. Even after aBeZy finds the first blood, Seattle Surge now at game point.
And so many players in a spot like that where Pred is, Jay, would just go for the chow. It's like, oh, the door's open. Let me go for the quick chow. he stays alive, and that basically forces the rest of Atlanta FaZe to have to make a play because Simp can. Pred's not giving him anything. Wonderful work coming in from the Aussie once more as he's just going to add on to that total. Snaps everywhere. A quick little 360 for style as Slasher instantly into the 1v2. He actually did take down Mack, so we'll see what he's got prepared for us. 2 players left, and he will drop Surge off to a wonderful start in this series, as they will hand Atlanta FaZe another shocking search and destroy loss. And Seattle now up 2-0. My God.
In the beginning of that search and destroy, it was all aBeZy. We found 5 first bloods on the map, but once Pred made that decision to stop challenging that engagement, he just took his gameplay to a whole different level. He ends on a 9 streak. He goes up from what was 1-4 to 13-6, 12 non-traded kills, 2v4 clutch does not matter. The Predator was going to get it done, as Seattle Surge are able to walk away with the search and destroy, a map where they used to struggle on. But ever since they have put more work in the back end, their setups, their retakes, everything has been picture perfect for them to now put themselves up 2-0 in this series.
It's just wild, man. It really is. I mean, just the plays that we're seeing nowadays in the CDL is just wild. Like aBeZy's able to go on a run like that. Pred, after a little bit of a slower performance, he lights things up. As you said, finishes off with 13 kills. It feels like every search and destroy for Pred, he is guaranteed to put up double digits. But what a massive swing that is in the search destroy. We felt like we were kind of riding it up for FaZe. They've been so solid in search destroy so far throughout this season. Seattle sometimes hit or miss, but boy, did they wake up here on Fortress. But do they have the ability to close things out in a 3-0 here in our next map? We'll have to see. Or can the reverse sweep journey begin here for Atlanta? It is Elisilo when we come back after this. Howdy friends and welcome back. How you doing? Lovely to see you guys. It's the final matchup of the day. It's a classic one as well. Atlanta FaZe taking on the Seattle Surge, but so far it has been all about the Surge. Jay, this is a fun series for a number of different reasons. Many remember, I think it was the winners final or winners, whatever it was. The matchup at Major 3 where both these teams faced off against each other, went to a game 5 round 11. It was Atlanta FaZe who started off 2-0 in that series. Surge managed to make their way back. Now we find ourselves in the inverse. Seattle finds themselves up 2-0. Now Atlanta has to make a wild reverse sweep attempt.
Yeah, that's insane, because if you think about when the reverse sweep last happened, that was all the way back in January, and that was Atlanta FaZe, the team that actually got reverse swept. So now they have to do the reverse sweeping to break that record here versus Seattle, and it all starts on this LSELO control, where they have been stellar as of recent on this map. 4-0 the last couple of times they have played it, and the reason why they're so damn good at it is because the aggression that they're able to put on the defensive side. You have to be able to shut down the pressure from Simp and aBeZy to try to take at least one attacking round versus this team.
That's just wild. I mean, that graphic that pops up since, what was it, January 29th, I think it said?
Yeah.
We've not seen a reverse sweep. I know you and I had that cast, OpTic FaZe versus Atlanta FaZe, or rather OpTic Texas versus Atlanta FaZe. But it's just crazy. Like, this is really going to be the longest stretch that we've seen, maybe in COD history, where we haven't seen a reverse sweep. We'll see if FaZe can manage to do it. Every time these rosters play each other, it feels like it is absolute madness every single time. Atlanta in desperate need of an answer, though, especially coming into Major 4. A 3-0 loss versus Seattle would surely not do great when it comes down to their confidence, but aBeZy starting things off hot, a 4-0 run. It's been Seattle doing great work at A, but since then, it's been all aBeZy.
Yeah, once they found those first two segments, Atlanta FaZe were able to find all 4 kills and haven't let off the gas ever since. So now Seattle Surge is just taking their time, trying to make their way out of their spawn. But there's so many different crevices that you have to be aware of where they're coming from. Mack with the snap onto Simp could potentially be the opening that Seattle are looking for to put the pressure on towards A. They back down aBeZy as well, so this should be an A capture for Seattle Surge to extend time by a minute.
Yep, looks good for them to do so. Nobody from FaZe is going to be able to get there in time. So we'll see what the journey looks like here from Seattle. They've always been known since this roster was formed to be very witty when it comes out of control. Currently the number 3 record in the CDL in this very game mode, and it's come through clutch attacking victories like this one. 1:20 on the clock, and now here comes Surge's first push at it. All 4 members strong. They jump right in that point, and now aBeZy's gonna have to make a play here, buddy.
Yeah, this is a scary situation if you are Atlanta FaZe, but at least you have Simp and Cell able to find 2. Simp finds 2, aBeZy finds the final. And now that's a clean 4 dead. Hit the reset button if you are Seattle Surge. You have to make it out of your base, but that's a good start. You get the 2 farthest players pushed up from Atlanta FaZe, so the last 2 players had to stay alive on this side of the map to at least influence a couple close spawns. But that's going to be accuracy taking down Simp. We do have Slasher, though, working on that deep flank. At least takes down 1 before he does get cut down. It allows the rest of his teammates to get back into his push.
It's just so funny, man. Oh my God, Fred, quickly for 3. Surge once more have all the numbers over at that B zone. This LSELO is about to be crazy. That B zone is done and dusted, and there you go. Round 1 goes the way of Seattle here on attack. And that is just the way it feels like this one's gonna go, man. Both of these teams with unbelievable slaying ability. And I think it honestly caught FaZe off guard right there, man. For a moment, they try to play aggressive, make their way up into field. Seattle, they take them down, a quick 2, and from there, they're able to build upon a lot of that progress that they already had going. Solid stuff from Surge as that momentum keeps going.
It keeps on going, my friend, as they're able to take an attacking round versus Atlanta FaZe, who are usually stellar on the defensive end. One of the best teams that we have on this map, and it's always due to their slaying. But Seattle Surge, whenever they needed to find a couple clutch kills, they got it done. And now they have to respond on defense. They have to slow down the pressure. Already from Atlanta FaZe over towards this A point. You at least have 1 player towards top radio. This is where accuracy loves to play, but he gets taken care of. So now you have the ability to stack this point to extend that time.
Yeah, once you get accuracy out of that fight, it just makes things so much easier. No matter who you are, but obviously for FaZe, that just instantly grants them 1 segment, looking for their second. Fred tried his best. aBeZy brought low, but he'll end up coming out on top in that gun engagement. Cellium, this is the one guy that you don't want to see in a spot like that. Typically can be pixel perfect. It comes down to head glitches such as this one, but that is going to be the A objective. Nice and early taken. As it will be Simp putting in the final bits of progress. Does lose a few teammates off the rip, so we'll see what he can do now behind enemy lines.
Yeah, so now you have 2 minutes to work with if you are Atlanta FaZe. A lot of time on the clock to set up 1 clean 4 dead, which eventually leads to the stack. They eliminate that player in Pred, the guy that was roaming over toward that white side. That's going to be 3 dead. You also have 1 player Slasher going on that deep flank, potentially playing for a couple spawn kills. But aCuSy and his teammate in Pred are staying alive on the left side of the map, exactly what they need to do. Pred finds another one onto Simp, and so far Atlanta FaZe with a lot of map control just haven't found the kill, so at least hop that point.
As we said, when it comes to both these teams, it just feels like it's all about timing. Can they find that 3-4 down? FaZe desperately in search for it. Mack doing everything in his power to try and prevent it. Has to go for the reach out. It was dead silence. That was popped for him to even get in a position like this, so he gets dealt with, and that just feels like another notch on the belt for FaZe and their progress in getting toward B. But how about the beams coming through from Pred, and specifically there from aCuSy, making that AC his home and having a wonderful time as he will cause more issues here for Atlanta. Back to the spawn they go.
Now a minute left on the clock, and nothing to show for it over towards this B point. As Seattle Surge are holding down in power positions, they're cutting off the right angles. With Simp finding that kill and now roaming towards top party, this can cause them a couple problems as he's able to take down Simp as well. Close spawns at least coming in for Seattle towards back cliff. Does Simp read it?
Oh, he absolutely does. Wonderful work from Simp. Oh my God. Had a chance to take down 3, but my word, Simp may have to plug back in that controller. I tell you what, the hard point was fantastic. Now 4 and 13 here in the control. Things have got to be a little bit different. Positive for him is really the teammates have been doing an excellent job. 11 to 8 in lives, but the biggest factor is the time. Here comes FaZe, potentially and possibly their last play of this round. They desperately need an attack, and an attack is what seems to be the name of the game.
Wow.
For aBeZy. Sent forward, he will fall, and with 10 seconds remaining, it just feels like the map position that Seattle have is far too strong, Jay.
Yeah, Mack just made the play happen. The only player for Seattle Surge on the left side of the map. He's able to find 3, find the 4th, and find the 5th. Earns himself the cruise missile. Mackenzie Melts, have yourself a moment. As he's able to find all 6 kills over towards that B point. He was the only guy here. You see Atlanta FaZe in the replay. They're stacking the point, but Mack goes big. He takes down the first gun slasher out of his headset, and then eventually stays alive long enough to find another set of kills. What a play out of Seattle Surge, more specifically out of Mack, to secure the defensive round, earn that cruise missile, and now sit comfortably nice in a 2-0 lead for a 3-0 series.
My word, Jay. 2-0 in the series, 2-0 in the control, and Mack just perfect shots there on to Simp. Now extends his spree to 7 in a row. I mean, this is just a wild scoreline to see. I mean, we've just never really seen this, Jake. We've never really seen Atlanta.
We have not.
Seattle go this one-sided in favor of Surge. It has always had to be in crazy clutches. Right now, they are dominating them. Simp not even having a wonderful map, but the rest of his teammates are having a lovely time here on El Asilo. B zone done, and it's 3 more segments before this 3-0 is done.
Oh, and the hip fire's even connected for Mr. McKenzie as he's just going to fly around through BS&D, but eventually does get cut down by Slasher. The beatdown comes in from Cellium, and aBeZy finds the 3rd. So now if you are Atlanta FaZe, you can take a deep breath. You can start to be aggressive on the map. You just need to win these gunfights, but he gets peeled off a top party. That's now 3 dead in the feed. Mack has a cruise missile. This might be the time to invest it.
Oh, this could be the game right here. I mean, if they play their cards right, they win a few 1v1s. If Mack can find one off the spree, this would be huge. Slasher just pops that trophy down, stays alive. And now FaZe a much better opportunity, but 2 of them end up getting picked. Look at Pred. Look at Pred making the plays. That's going to be everybody down. FaZe now off a spawn. They've got to run here. They've got to make something crazy happen out in the open. Watch that zone
going.
Fly. Is this it? Is this where the game comes to a close? It could be. Oh, a sliver away. It's all on to Pred. It's all on to Pred. Puts 2 to bed, but FaZe just narrowly. It's a 1v1 that keeps them alive. But how close was Surge to locking this one up in a 3-0, 3-0?
Now they have 1:20 to complete one segment over towards A. Just gotta time these kills. And that's not the way to start as 3 go down for Seattle. This now allows Atlanta FaZe to get aggressive on the map, but every time they have gotten aggressive, Seattle have capitalized on it perfectly. This time they play in their corners. They're making the kills a lot more difficult. Great angle from Simp. He's not able to pick up the kill onto accuracy. The re-snap, able to take down the first.
And you can tell from FaZe, I mean, they're just trying to be careful. They cannot afford to go down, I guess, 2 players, if you will, because of just the unbelievable slaying ability that Seattle has.
Oh, no.
That's another few down, and that should be it. That is game. Surge. A hot 3-0 delivered here versus Atlanta FaZe. A historic matchup between these franchises, and it has never been a dominant dub by Seattle until now. Impressive stuff, but it was Surge in the driver's seat all series long, Jay.
Oh, man. In this series, we knew it was 2 Titans going up against each other. Seattle Surge had a bigger chip on their shoulder. They're probably still thinking about that Major 3 Winners Finals matchup. And they are able to redeem themselves with a dominant 3-0 victory versus Atlanta FaZe. I'm actually really curious. When the hell was Atlanta FaZe 3-0 the last time? Because I usually never see that happen with the way that they have been performing in Search and Destroy. The control has been a lot better, but the hard point struggles continue as Seattle Surge come out and dominate in this series, make the statement, and now move on into stage 3 and 1.
Incredible stuff. I mean, incredible stuff. Pred 24-12. I mean, Mack, as you said, man, I think it was that round 2. His name written all over it. Everybody, it felt like, had their moment. Simp taking off in the hard point. Accuracy having some amazing moments in the game 1 and in the game 2. I feel like everybody did their part, and that's what you want to see from the Seattle Surge team, where it feels like we never really know where to place this roster, Jay. I mean, a 3-0 versus FaZe has surely got to make people feel much better about them moving into their series tomorrow and moving into Major 4.
Yeah, and if you are Atlanta FaZe, man, you're just thinking about that HyDra hardpoint, a map that you don't play a lot. And unfortunately, you fall short to a perfect setup on that P2. Then that map number 2, Fortress S&D, you haven't played it since January 15th. You fall short, you get 2v4 clutched on, you allow Pred to go on a 9 streak to just take over that search and destroy. And then at that point, you're basically defeated, man. You feel like those are 2 maps that you potentially should have been able to walk away with. You're going into a strong control for you guys, where you guys have been dominant so far throughout this stage. And unfortunately, Seattle Surge, just a way better team today. Didn't really have to do it in the sling. It just came down to those clutch moments. They walk away with the clean 3-0.
Yeah, a big W here for Seattle. I know the big conversation coming into this series was about the standings, how things look moving into Major 4, how things look when it comes down to champs. Seattle, right, they're trying to fend off both Røkkr and Vegas right now, and that W could not come at a better time. Seattle get the job done here versus Atlanta FaZe in a 3-0. That's going to do it for myself and Jay. Desk, Pocket, take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I called the 3-0 Surge sweep. These 2 haters didn't agree.
Wait, yes, I did.
You agree with the sweep, though?
I didn't agree with the sweep.
Yeah, the sweep was good, though, didn't it? That was a nice, hot 3-0 from Seattle Surge to close out a very long Saturday and a meaningful win for the Seattle team. Because, first of all, it's the best qualifier performance you've had, right? You're now 3-1, probably in a strong position to go 4-1 against LAG in your next match. And on the other side, Atlanta FaZe now finishing at 3-2 means that none of those top 4 seeds are safe, because New York can finish 4-1. We got Vegas at 4-1. OpTic's done at 5-0. And now Surge could be that 4-1 team to join them in 3rd or 4th place.
I mean, it really all started with that hard point, right? The fact that Seattle Surge came out the way that they did on that HyDra, a map that should favor Atlanta. I mean, we just saw them play it. We saw aBeZy drop 33 on it as the SMG. He had his way. It was the other side of things for this one. It was Sib having his way, 31 and 17, close out that map number 1. But what was really impressive to me had to be that map number 2. We go into that Fortress Search and Destroy, a map that Seattle Seattle time and time again. It was the game 5, and we were like, this cannot go to game 5 because Seattle cannot buy a win on this map and mode. And Atlanta FaZe usually, like Ann said in pre-show, prefer to veto this map. They do not like playing Fortress S&D. They test their luck today, and it bites them in the butt. They lose at 6-4. Pred goes crazy, 13-6. Seattle only had 3 first bloods. So they were 3v4ing the Atlanta Waves their way through into that game number 3.
And Punk X TV is saying all the fanboys, all the FaZe fanboys, quiet right now. First of all, do you think FaZe gave it their all in this series?
Oh, yeah. I really do. And I look at Seattle, I'm like, this is the first time I've seen a team roll FaZe. I mean, strategically on point, but also gunning the crap out of them when they needed to. I mean, you look at this series, and there's a lot of things that you can derive from this. Like, even the approach to the vetoes and the way that they're playing, it tells me that they're not confident in their gameplay. You're coming in, you're trying to add HyDra, you're playing that, a map that Seattle has looked better than them on in the past. Seattle comes in and they win that. Everybody underperforms besides Cellium on that map number 1. And then that game 2 search and destroy. Fortress is a map that, like, Atlanta FaZe should be good at. However, they vetoed it 26 times leading up to this match. So trying to test it out, see if you're good at these maps in the wrong time to test it. They get rolled 3-0 and on a control and a CeeLo where they had no chance throughout that entire map. Pred was wreaking havoc in their base. You think back to that SD, Pred got an ace. They also 2v4'd them. They are frying them.
Because I have our scuff play of the game, and it just happens to come from that Search and Destroy featuring Pred's ace. Yeah. 9 kills in Search and Destroy is our scuff play of the game. Nameless walk us through what this SMG superstar was doing.
Well, I mean, so he finds the first 2 kills, and then you see him, and it's like, all right, what do I want to do here? I'm going to go into art, and I'm going to gun you up top rails. Finds that kill, plays his life to a T, and as soon as they get the information on where Slasher could possibly be, of course he's going to go chow. Slasher's been having trouble. Then he proceeds to go on a 9 streak. Yep. The kid is a beast.
9 in a row, Ali. Pred taking over Search and Destroy. Didn't slow down much in control. He's the guy in your base, either in your face or in your base, right? He's one of those 2 places.
And it was scary there for a moment because when he invested that streak and around the Seattle Surge should have won, it was actually Simp that pulls off some crazy kills with his dead silence and clutches up. So the fact that the momentum wasn't even in their camp when the game goes tied 4-4 is a testament to the iciness of the Seattle Surge team.
Seattle Surge needed this win more than FaZe, but both teams will be competing next week, and I have a feeling we're going to see this rematch in under 7 days. All of this still to come as Major IV will be kicking off next week. We still have tomorrow to go, and of course, we got to recap everything from today. Your standings at the end of the day have OpTic Texas finished at 5-0, Vegas right behind them at 4-1, and then you'll see our 6 3-1 teams cut down to 3 as everyone is jockeying for a top 4 position. Big notes for me, you got Ultra in the losers bracket. You got Breach, who are looking at a potential 8th place. They have another showdown against the Røkkr, and that should be a fun one to watch tomorrow.
And I think we're finally seeing some serious separation between some of these top teams and bottom teams, specifically calling out, the London Royal Ravens, the LAG Guerrillas, the Florida Mutineers, these teams that we were like, on any given day, a team can beat another team. I think we're getting to that point in the season where that is no longer the case.
I agree with that. As we take a look at our points race, you got to be in the top 8 come end of Major 5. And right now, the Surge jumping up to 160 after their win. Tie Boston. Breach does have a match win rate record tiebreaker over them. So just side note there. But everyone's feeling pretty good if you're in that top 6.
100%. If you're that top 6, you're feeling pretty good. Honestly, it just feels like the Legion versus Røkkr battle at this point. Seeing as Seattle has improved and they're beating some of these top teams, they look like they're going to lock in their top 8 finish. The bottom 3 teams, barring a major win, it's looking like they're not going to be at champs.
Alrighty, no interview tonight. Actually, I'm told Seattle might be getting rowdy here with us here shortly. I'm excited to hear from the Seattle crew because they've been on a run recently, Allie. We talked about OpTic being one of the best teams, if not the best team in the game right now. How far behind is Seattle in your eyes?
Ooh, Seattle's tough because of their inconsistencies. You'd want to put them in that conversation of being a top team. I feel like they're always a contender for a championship or a chip, but I feel like they still have a little bit of some consistency issues.
Nameless, what do you need to see against LAG from Seattle tomorrow to have confidence in a top 3 from this squad come Columbus?
I mean, honestly, just another win. I feel like they're already kind of there. When I look at the teams right now, honestly, it feels like Seattle, Thieves, and OpTic are front runners at the moment. FaZe has fallen out of that. I did not think I would be saying that, but they do not not look like a top 3 team. So Seattle looking very strong. Just a win against LAG, 3-0-3-1.
We got our players ready to join us live. Let's go to the Great White Shark, all the way from Australia, now ripping people up here in the CDL. We got Pred joining us once again. Pred, congratulations. I predicted the win over Atlanta. I called the 3-0, but I wasn't confident in it. Talk to me about this matchup. How did you guys play so well today?
I mean, I don't know. We just turned up today. You know, we really picked up the intensity. You know, for us, we always have insane matches against FaZe. I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't a round 11, map 5. Like, we always have an insane match against them. So, you know, we just match up well against them, and they're a great team. And you know, today we just turned up the intensity.
Fred, were you surprised? You know, usually when it comes to Seattle versus Atlanta or Atlanta versus anybody, it's kind of just like who's going to get what veto when it comes to Atlanta FaZe because their search and destroys are so strong. Were you surprised that they kind of let Fortress through this time?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think they're a good S&D team. You know, they wouldn't do something without really thinking about it. So, you know, I'm not too sure why. But yeah, I don't know. I was really kind of caught off guard by that.
Pred, talk to me about the squad, man. You guys have been frying, and accuracy in particular has been disgusting. I mean, you're usually the stat leader on the squad. It's a good sign if accuracy is. What have you guys been talking about or working on to get him in position to have so much success?
For us, it's just to, you know, build his confidence, you know, make him knowing that he's like a really talented player. You know, like just for us, it's just building his confidence and putting him in spots and situations where he can, you know, do his thing. So that's been the most important thing for us, man. Just trying to build everyone's confidence on our team because we know when we're all at full peak that we can be a dangerous team.
Speaking of full peak, how do you get there by the end of Columbus to raise that trophy of Major IV?
Man, we should keep working hard, man. Keep putting the extra hours in and, you know, really talking about the game and how we can get better.
All right, man. Well, I'm excited to share a meal with you next week. We'll see you live here in Columbus.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good day.
That's Pred. He and Seattle Surge have one match still to go. That's coming up tomorrow. And, of course, we will have a 3-match Sunday. But today, we got to take a look back at all 4 of our matches, starting with the London battle. London came in here with a 1 win. We were wondering, can they get a second? Well, they ran into HyDra and the Subliners. They started off 77-0, though, in hardpoint, right?
Yeah, the 77-6. We thought, okay, London, what are we going to do here? But as soon as it got to that 8C hill, it was nothing but the New York Subliners in the feed. HyDra had an insane series going 30-17 in that opening hardpoint. London does fight back, though, in the Fortress Search and Destroy, where they needed to, with Scrapz going 11-6 in.
Yeah, I mean, we saw New York win 2 hard points. That's the moral of the story in this series. New York needed to bounce back, find success there. That's how they win championships. It's going to be through hard point, and HyDra had himself a series. It was a close game for in the Hydro. Still got it done.
Yeah, I have to say, HyDra putting up numbers like the top SMG stars from yesterday. We got to talk about the Mutineers, though, because this was a matchup that was fun to watch against Vegas Legion. Vegas trying to catch Røkkr in the points race today. They accomplished that goal, now tied at 130 points.
We were worried there for just a second after seeing that opening hard point from Florida. They win that 250-229, and then we head into that Hotel S&D. It ends up going to a round 11. Vegas, though, it is Clay that clutches up in the 1v1, and then Vegas win another control. We head over to Expo, and now I don't think we will ever see Vegas Legion play it again because they have 2 wins on it.
0-5 for Florida. Not a fun time here in our Major IV qualifiers. We keep it moving on to OpTic versus Breach, the 3rd battle. Featured your #1 seed coming into the Columbus Major, the only undefeated squad, now boasting a 5-0 record after thrashing Boston.
Yeah, I mean, a relatively easy series for them as well. I mean, you can look back to that first hard point and see the score and be like, it was close, but you can see in the highlights right now, OpTic had firm control of this map from the very get-go. The control, Kremp had himself a performance, I mean, really throughout the series, so there's some hope there if you are a Boston fan. If you are an OpTic fan, you should be very confident in them making a deep run at this major. They're poised to win the championship.
Yeah, they can't lose a hard point, and that's 2 of your first 4 games in a best-of-5. You're feeling good about your odds moving forward. Allie, as we take a look back at everything on the day, what stood out to you? What are you excited about?
I'm going to become a Vaz player from here on out after this weekend. The sub is gross.
And give me the Vazes to watch tomorrow. Who do you got eyes on?
Tomorrow, we gotta watch Pred, obviously.
Pred from Surge, okay, who else?
Surge, LA Thieves, we gotta watch Envoy. He's been discussing this stage, and obviously HyDra after what we saw today.
All right, I'm watching Joe Thieves in LAG. They're gonna pull off the upset tomorrow. I feel it, Joey. All right, Nameless, let's wrap things up. It's Super Saturday night. What are you taking away into the final day of our Major IV qualifier?
Man, can Atlanta FaZe bounce back? Looking like they're middle of the pack right now, man.
Middle of the pack until they get to LAN. I'm not worried about you, FaZe. What about you, Allie?
I mean, I'm echoing it, man. I'm just hoping one day we'll rotate Atlanta. One day.
Next week's going to get nutty, but we got one more day in the way before we get there. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and make sure to set your alarms because this show kicks off at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Closer than it appears, trying to take it to another tier. Prime time, yeah, my moment is here, yeah.